On the April 4th, 1987 edition of World Championship Wrestling, Sweet Stan Lane was first introduced as the new member of the Midnight Express. To make it official, you came out to the podium and cut a promo to explain everything. During this promo, without mentioning his name, you basically buried Dennis Condrey as the Midnight Express's weak link who needed to be replaced. My questions about this are, 1, did you run this by Dennis before taping the episode? If so, how did Dennis feel about it? I presume he understood that you needed to kayfabe bury him as the best way to explain his actual departure from the team. Question 2, how did you and Bobby personally feel about cutting the weak link promo on Dennis, given your working relationship and friendship with him? And then 3, why did Dennis leave Crockett?
Well, did I run it by Dennis? No, the only reason we cut the promo is because we couldn't find Dennis. And it was my promo. Dusty had said, kid, go out there and get Stan over. You can bear Dennis if you want to, as much as you want to, as little as you want to. I don't care. Just get Stan Lane over. He's the weak link is gone. He's the new strong link, right? Or whatever the fuck. He's the weak link is gone. Stan's bigger and younger and whatever the fuck. And just go with that. Obviously, the reason why we did it is because Dennis had left, and it seems like there was about a 3-week period in there. But I think as I looked back, it was like just a little over a week. You know, he dropped us off one night after a spot show in South Carolina at our homes in Charlotte and said, well, I'll see you in the morning at the airport. We didn't see him again for a year and a half. That story has been well documented. And we waited around for a few days. We, tried to find him. Tried to call his house. His wife didn't know where he was either. His wife at the time, by the way, he's now been married to a lovely woman for the past, I don't know how long they've been married, but they've been together for 30 years. And so, when we realized he wasn't coming back, that's when Dusty scrambled the forces to find a replacement. And we didn't want to bury Dennis. And actually, I didn't want to come out there and say Dennis Condrey was the shits because of the fact that everybody knew that we'd been such a great top tag team for so long. That would destroy my credibility if I said he was the shits. So I just kind of made it that I didn't mention Dennis's name, but I made the big surprise announcement that there was a new member of the Midnight Express, and I put the heat on Mama Cornette. Mama didn't like Dennis, and she thought he was the weak link, and now the weak link has been made strong with this guy. Boom, and off we go. And after that initial promo, we didn't mention it again. And as I recall, the announcers for a week or two mentioned the new member of the Midnight Express, and then it was just the Midnight Express, and we just glossed over it. And Stan did his part. I swear to God, though, I knew what I was going to do. The night after we did that TBS taping on Saturday morning, we went to Boston. That was our debut in the Boston Garden. So Stan debuted in the Midnight Express in the house show against the Road Warriors in the Boston Garden in front of 10,000 people. And I had been doing the introduction for so long, Loverboy Dennis and Beautiful Bobby, that I swear to God, even though I was standing there looking at Stan Lane and I had thought, I can't do that. When I pointed, I went, Stace, Beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan. It was like the time where Lance Russell had retired from Memphis TV and Dave Brown for the first time by himself without Lance in 30 years did the sign off, and he actually said for Dave Brown, I'm Lance Russell, because that's what he heard in his head so many times. But anyway, so basically the promo was mine to try to get out of the situation that we had been put in. We didn't want to bury Dennis because we didn't know what was going on at that point. We didn't know what had gone on for approximately 15 years. And then we found out. And then we said, well, we wish you'd have told us because we wouldn't have been mad at all. And it wasn't anything that anybody's reported. And that's all you're hearing from me.
Who determined the nickname Sweet for Stan Lane?
We were looking for alliteration, and I think it was Dusty. I think he just said, now you can see you got Beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan, baby. Okay, sounds good.
And obviously Bobby now had tenure, so his name got introduced first.
Well, because Loverboy Dennis and Beautiful Bobby it rolled off the tongue. But Sweet Stan and Beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan rolled better than Sweet Stan and Beautiful Bobby. I don't know. It became that way.
What did Bobby think during this whole period of time? Because we've all heard, you and your take and what you were going through at the time and what you later found out when you and Dennis finally got to talk and everything. But at that time, what is Bobby thinking?
Well, he was a lot like me too. He's like, well, shit, this fucking run's over unless we do something corny. And Bubba was with us also at the time. He had they had sent him to Kansas City for a little while the year before, but he had come back. But you couldn't make a tag team out of Bobby and Bubba. Bubba was a single or was part of our accompaniment. And so, and he's, freaking out also because we just didn't know, because we didn't really have any, warning on it. So he was sweating too until finally when Stan came up, he came up from Florida to the office in Charlotte, drove up one day so we could all get together when Dusty sat us down. And we figured, okay, this should work pretty well. I mean, it was a little nerve wracking getting. Stan was such a great tag team wrestler, and he picked up on a lot of the trademark spots. Plus, we could do a few different things than we did with Dennis because Stan had different strong points. He had that incredible vertical leap, and he looked so graceful doing it, jumping over the top rope or leapfrogging or whatever. And there were certain things that we could do differently. And plus, I think we actually it helped us because one of the things we try to do was overcompensate for the change in the roster by doubling up on the really snazzy teamwork, which if you noticed, I mean, Bobby and Dennis always used classic tag team work and they did the cool tag team moves and, the quick tags and all that stuff. But when Stan came in, we made an effort to come up with even more different tag team or double team moves to kind of snazz it up a little bit and make people realize, oh shit, they are better. We had to. So it kind of made us work harder. Well, it did make us work harder.